Welcome to Worthy Ones, the video series where I take all the newest issue 1 comic books for the current comic book week and deem them worthy or not worthy. Guys, I'm Mike Spider Slayer. Welcome back to Comic Book Corner 2.0. If you love daily comic book content, you like me helping you make decisions on what comic books to buy, and you've been watching for a while and you haven't hit that subscribe button yet, it's okay. Just go ahead and do it now. And of course, guys, this is the video series where I talk about all those newest number ones. We talk about 7 of them each week. The rest of them I'll talk about in the other video series that I do called After the Poll, where I discuss the rest of the current comic books for the current comic book week. That takes place on Mondays. Whatever happened to the Crimson Justice? This is issue 1. It's a $5 comic book published by Mad Cave Studios. It's written by Frank Thierry. The art is done by Annika Miranda. And the artwork is good. It's gruesome at times. I like the coloring in here. It's a very street level like book. And what this book has is a hero by the name of Crimson Justice, who's kind of like, I don't know, maybe if Moon Knight and Batman had a baby, this is what you would get. Right? It's a combination of those two characters. And when Crimson Justice died, then the other town's heroes died along with it, right? And we had these cast of characters. You could say maybe they were like the Avengers or the Justice League, and their name was Misconduct, Scarlet Girl, Black Knight, and the Urban Avenger. So it was an okay comic book, right? Again, it was very street level. There's this girl in here that's maybe with the wrong side of the crowd here, which I think she was the Scarlet character, right? And when we get the return of the villain by the name of Dr. Mayhem, then maybe, somehow maybe, does Mr. Crimson Justice make his return? You'll have to read it and find out. This book was worthy. Yeah, believe it or not, it was a worthy comic book. However, it wasn't quite like next level to put it on my monthly poll, if that makes sense. I think there was a decent story here. Kind of gives you that, you know, Batman, Justice League vibe, and obviously it's much darker and rated R version, right? So if you find yourself invested into this world, I think it's only like 3 issues, so you might want to see what happens with it. It was pretty good, but like I said, I'm just not going to continue it going forward. I'm going to give it a C+, not a bad book. The Curse of Shirley Johnson. This is issue 1. This one's published by Image Comics, and it's in the Spawn Universe titles. It's 48 pages for the price of $6. No $2.99 for this one. It's written by Daniel Henriques. Oh my gosh, I said that horribly. Henriques. I can't. It doesn't want to come out right. Then Jonathan Clapion is the artist here. I can tell you that the artwork in this book is superb. I mean, the coloring is really good. All the characters in here are awesome. You get this dude in here with this big ass sword. Like, look at that, man. That is impressive, right? So with phenomenal artwork, you got to sit there and go, man, this book's story's got to be awesome, right? Wrong. No. This story for me, I just couldn't get into. Now, I don't remember really the early days of Spawn, and I think maybe this takes place around issue 5 because they were releasing a facsimile edition of Spawn issue 5, because this is the girl that wound up being killed by what's his name, by Billy Kincaid. And so you kind of want to see what happens with this young girl after she died, right? And so in this comic book, you get to see her experiencing like this deja vu, this death that happens over and over and over again, and then she kind of finds out she's in hell. And it was just one of those books where I was like, man, after reading it, I was like, I don't care. Like, I really don't care. It just was just like, why was this book released? Was it released because it's Spawn and people get attracted to the Spawn comics? but I can honestly say that they did get a top tier artist on this because it's such an attractive book, but the story just was not intriguing to me whatsoever. I just found this girl being annoying. It felt a little bit repetitive, and by the time I closed the book, I'm like, what the heck did I just read? So I don't know. This book, unfortunately, was not worthy for me. I really am curious if you guys decided to pick this up, and what did you think of it? Or did you get it just for the, McFarlane cover? Just let me know those in the comments below. But, I gotta give this one, it's a tough one because it had such good artwork, but the story just wasn't coherent for me. I think it went over my head. I'm gonna give this one a D+. Yeah, I couldn't get into it. The Thing. This is issue 1, published by Marvel Comics. This one is a 32-page comic for the price of $5. This one is written by Tony Fleeks, and the art is done by Justin Mason. This artwork is actually really good in this comic as well, as it opens up with a battle with the Fantastic Four fighting like these alien squids, and you get this cool angry facial expression by Ben Grimm with those blue eyes. I mean, this book had it going on when it came to the artwork. I really enjoyed the way it looked. Now, the last decent Ben Grimm series I read, or the Thing series I read, was way back in 1983. I read a few of those issues and I enjoyed it. And I wish I could go back and actually find those back issues. You don't see them too often, or maybe an omnibus or a trade paperback, right? But what this issue had to offer was, after the Thing did his initial team up with his Fantastic Four peers, he wound up getting a request from actually a bully of his in school, right? And he asked him to find I think it was his kid's sister. And his kid's sister was actually really nice to him back in the day. And so that's why he agreed to help this guy. Otherwise, he would have said, kick rocks, and I'm not going to help you because you were nothing but mean to me, right? So along the way, they're trying to find this information and whatnot on where this girl is. And we get a little bit of the information. We get to see some cool little bar fight in here that's going on in the book as well. But at the end, you are led to believe that this book is going to be something much more because of the enemy that you saw in here. And you're kind of like, oh man, that is pretty badass. So this initial issue was pretty much a setup. And again, when you saw the enemy at the end, I'm like, okay, now I know where we're going. And that made this series worthy. So I am definitely looking forward to seeing where this series goes and the adversaries that the Thing goes against. And I like the emotion that this book has to offer. It has some flashbacks as well. So I'm really into it and can't wait for issue 2. I gave this one a B. I think it can only go up from here. Spider-Man and Wolverine, issue 1. This is the team up you've always wanted, right? Published by Marvel Comics. It's a 32-page comic for the price of $5. It's written by Mark Guggenheim, and the art is done by Corey Andrews. You know the way Corey Andrews draws by now. You know what you're going to get in this comic book. You get these over-exaggerated poses. It looks so good. I absolutely love that. Even, like I said this in my haul, like look at his feet, the over-exaggerated eyes. It kind of reminds me of the way I read comics when I was growing up in the 90s, right? I do like the way his females look. They all have this distinctive feel. They themselves have this a little bit over-exaggerated, cartoony selves to them as well. His Wolverine looks nice. So overall, I think the artwork, hits a spot here. Now, when it comes to the story of this comic book, it wastes no time in getting into it, okay? You wind up seeing this team up of Spider-Man and Wolverine as they have to find these shield files to uncover these double agents, I guess, right? And And right when they start this mission, for some reason, they go against this battle against Kraven the Hunter, Omega Red, Mysterio. They start tripping. Like, all these characters lately in all these comic books are, like, hallucinating. You got this in Martian Manhunter. You got this in the current Spider-Man book. And in this book, you wind up seeing Wolverine, you know, tripping balls. He experiences what Peter went through, and then Peter goes through what Wolverine went through. It's just all over the place and absolutely, totally insane. So, yeah, by the time I got to the end of this comic book, I did find it worthy. Was it the best comic ever? No, I don't think so. But it was entertaining, and it dives into Peter's parents a little bit, and we don't get that so often. Now, the end of this comic book, I might not agree with Peter's personality here, and if you read it, you know what I'm talking about, because he lets the anger get the best of him, and that's not normally the character here. So we'll see if he goes through with it or not, but yeah, he's quite angry there. So at the end of the day, after high energy, great artwork, storytelling here, I'm going to give this one a solid B. It wasn't perfect, but it was fun, and I'm definitely going to be reading issue 2. So this is why you subscribe, guys, because it's time to discuss the sleeper pick. And if you want to know what the sleeper pick is in advance, you can check out the top 10 most pulled comic books of the week, where I discuss what I think might be a sleeper pick of the week. And then, of course, I discuss it right here on Worthy Ones. And this one's sleeper pick is Sleep Issue 1. It's published by Image Comics. 32 pages, $4. So was this one a stud or a dud? Was it a hit or a miss? We'll find out in a second. The writer here and artist is done by Xander Cannon. Now, in this book, the artwork is much different. It's a black and white comic with some hints of red in here. The main character's glasses are red. There's certain instances that maybe if there's blood on the floor or just something like that, for some reason it's red. But yeah, that's how the art is. It wasn't anything that blew me out of the water. It wasn't spectacular, but I'm like, okay, well, let's see what this story is about, because the description seemed interesting. It's about this character who falls asleep, becomes something much more, kills things, and doesn't even realize the character is like doing it, right? And so it starts off kind of interesting, right? It's just like ring, 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 and the dude's sleeping on the floor, and you see his house is all trashed. He like goes outside, and you wind up seeing that everything outside is all trashed, and you're like, oh. And so at that moment in time, you're like, oh, what's going to happen once he steps outside? And instead of taking that positive turn, well, that's when this book winds up going down the crapper. Just like that. This book was not worthy. And I'll tell you why. Because you wind up learning about this everyday life of this character, and he is boring as hell. I think his name is like Jonathan or something like that. And you wind up getting to see him go to church. He's going through this mass. He's talking through mass. And you're reading 2, 3, 4 pages. You learn about this guy who used to be in a band, and now he's singing at church, and he's in between gigs. Then you see this guy's life working at a coffee shop. Like, dude, I don't need to see this guy's everyday life. That's like every other person, you know? I was just like, it's so boring. And you're waiting and waiting and waiting, and you're waiting for the hook. You're waiting for the character to be interesting. You're waiting for something. And the only thing that you get is when the guy goes back to sleep, he finds his cat's tag beneath his couch because his cat's gone missing and he can't find his cat. So you're like, oh, okay, his cat's dead. Whoop-de-doo. Oh my gosh. If you like this book, that's totally awesome. And I'm happy I suggested it or put it out there in the universe for you. But I'm sorry if you spent your money on this, because like I said, this could have been a potential sleeper pick. And it definitely wasn't. This was a bust this week. This was a dud in my eyes. This was not a worthy book. And unfortunately, at the end of the day, I'm going to give this one a D+, man. This one was just, no, I'm sorry, not a D+. I'm going to give this one a D-. This one just did not hit the mark for me at all. And I will not be continuing issue 2. I think this was a highly anticipated book this week. This is DC's Superman Unlimited Issue 1. The Summer of Superman has arrived. It started last week with Supergirl. This is 32 pages for the price of $5. This book is written by longtime writer Dan Slott, and art is done by Raphael Albuquerque. I thought Albuquerque's artwork here was a hit or miss at times. I feel like in certain panels, his artwork was really good as Superman. Superman was a little bit bulkier, but he has this like classic facial expression here, which I really liked. And then at times, when you got towards the end of the book, I felt like Albuquerque's artwork wound up getting exhausted. Like he was getting tired, right? It was like, oh, look at me, I'm Superman, I'm tired now. Like, I don't even know what the heck is going on with that look there. And then, you wind up getting to see, like, some heartfelt moments here with, like, I think it was Pa. Yeah, like the father-son moments here. Like, I don't know what that was. Like, so there were certain moments in the comic book where it was like the artwork wasn't that great, but there was others where it was really good. So I have mixed emotions about the artwork in the book, okay? Now, when it comes to the story, there's going to be a lot of this story that you already read from Free Comic Book Day, right? Probably a good 8 pages of it was like, hey, I'm Superman. This is what I do. This is Lois Lane. I'm going to stop this asteroid from hitting Earth. And you find out that it's filled with kryptonite and it's basically killing Clark, okay? Now, that is where it hooked you on Free Comic Book Day, and then the story goes a little bit further here, and you see Superman dying, and you see everything flashing before his eyes. His whole life is flashing before his eyes. And so if you've never read Superman before, and you don't know any history of Superman, this is the perfect book for you, okay? Because it goes through his entire life from when he was a little kid, when he arrived here from Krypton, when he was in school, when he got the Fortress of Solitude, when he died from Doomsday, Brainiac, just all those different things. So it spent a long time going into the whole lore of Superman, okay? What did we get out of this story that was new? Not really too much except the ending, because the kryptonite should have killed Superman and it didn't. So for now, this book is worthy. I think this was just that perfect jumping on point for readers to get refamiliar with who Superman is, to get you ready for the movie, and then your real story is going to go on in issue 2. So this is not going to get the best mark for me because I knew all this stuff about Superman, and I was kind of like, let's move along with the story here. I was expecting a little bit more impact out of this asteroid that was coming towards Earth, and it really didn't have that much of an impact. So, at the end of the day, I'm going to give this one a B-. It was good, don't get me wrong, and I think it did a good job for the newer readers out there, but I was expecting something a little bit more, impactful. So the only new issue 1 that we're not going to discuss today is the Hulk and Doctor Strange book. I did read it, but I only cover 7 books each week on this series, and whatever's left over, I discuss it on After the Poll. And I felt this book just needed more attention. This is Dark Horse's Robo-Wolf. This is issue 1. It's a 32-page comic for the price of $5. It's written and drawn by Jake Smith. When you see this cover, it totally takes you back to the 80s. Reminds you of like Miami Vice, right? It's got those hot pink and turquoise colors. Robo-Wolf has got these 80s like glasses. It's totally intense. It reminds me also of the early days of Dark Horse Comics when they had Boris the Bear. They had a lot of violent comic books like Radioactive Hamsters. I think that's who did that. I'm not 100% sure. But the artwork is great in this book. Again, it's very bright. It's vibrant. All the characters have their little quirks. There's this one character that drives the van. Her name is like Zuki. You get this other navigator dude. You get this one guy that wears his skull helmet. And then, of course, you got this Robo-Wolf character, right? He's got freaking guns in his body. He's like half wolf, half robot. And you get the police chase in the beginning of this book. And the reason why the police are after them is because they just robbed a bank and it had over $1 million in it, okay? And there's a reason why they robbed this bank. It's a good reason, okay? And so this book is just not full of violence. It does actually have heart because Robo-Wolf is not a bad character. He's actually trying to steal this money to give to, I don't know, what's the character's name? I think his name is Colonel Massacre, who is this Russian guy, because he kidnapped his daughter, right? So if he can get the money to Colonel Massacre in time, his daughter will be saved. Does he save his daughter? You'll have to read it and find out. But this thing is high energy, in your face, so well done, takes place in the 80s. I definitely recommend this book. It is so worthy. I can honestly wish I wish this was the sleeper pick or the comic book I picked for sleeper pick of the week. And I did look at it and I was like, could this be my sleeper pick? And I was like, it looks kind of dumb. Never judge a book by its cover, right? I mean, because this one is a lot of fun. You're going to have so much of a good time learning about these different cast of characters and obviously the MO of Robo-Wolf here. Hopefully he succeeds. I don't know if this is only 2 issues or 3 issues, but I'll enjoy it while it lasts. A lot of fun. I'm going to give this one an A+, dude. Love when a book can surprise me like this one. And there you guys have it. There are my thoughts on the newest issue ones for the week. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Did you pick up Robo-Wolf? Let me know all those thoughts in the comments below. Until then, I'll leave you with more content right here. I'll show you everything else I picked up in my comic book haul, plus another video. And guys, remember, support the local comic shops. Keep buying, keep collecting, but always remember, read those comics so we can have great comic conversation just like we did today. Guys, I'll see you real soon.